The Diary of Thoughts. Epilogue, about dignity and spirit. Written by Carlos Pacheco, www.diaryofthoughts.com. Dignity is a very subjective word like many others. Each one of us possesses a certain degree of dignity, even if that personal notion can be felt and expressed in many different ways. Depending on the dignity of each one of us, notions of respect regarding our posture in life, along with behaviors and attitudes, are manifested in multiple ways, always according with that degree of personal dignity and pride. Some people never lost their dignity because it makes an intrinsic part of their character. Others will never lose it because they just don't possess it. As a matter of fact, some people can even die to defend their dignity, and others that simply ignore their lack of dignity and act by stupid pride. Hank the Voice BEUKEMA reads from the Diary of Thoughts poems, written by Carlos Pacheco.
Dignity and pride. There is the dignity to maintain your integrity, even if you live in duality between you and the world. There is the pride for not accepting a bribe that contradicts, that affects who you really are, causing regrets about your existence. There is the dignity to assume, to resume your mistakes, no matter what it takes, what it costs, better than the loss of your values, your dignity. There is the pride to talk, to walk with your head up, not looking at the floor, and simply ignore who you are as a unique star. There is the dignity to live in harmony and tranquility, looking for friendship, looking for love, watching the stars above, and say, thank God. There is the pride to confirm, to reaffirm your convictions, your beliefs, what you represent, or what you resent, what you accept or reject. It's all about dignity and pride.
Dignity is extended to several different areas of personal and social living, meaning that it is present in every single behavior of ours. While performing our profession, some people put their dignity and pride at stake while always trying to do their best, which implies the definition, dignity at work. History proved to us that great leaders, and not only them, committed suicide to defend their dignity, mostly when they had lost a battle, as it happened in recent history when the Japanese military performed harakiri on themselves, for instance. Medieval times also gave us examples about dignity and pride while royalty was in power, never forgetting that at the aim of that same royalty, there were also situations that involved a complete absence of dignity. Generally, myths in history are related to the word integrity as an example of dignity and pride. These are words and notions that are gradually disappearing in society as different values are being practiced. These values also make part of a new culture, as this one is constantly changing according to with new patterns and standards in society. One of the theories related to this constant change is that all those values still exist, but only being practiced in a different way, in a different perspective, being this theory an argument to forget good principles and traditions. Still, will always be there, even if people try to ignore them due to this new culture. The world, along with civilization, is always changing, and principles and values are following those changes. The question is to establish the right direction in which humanity has to ground its feet, consolidating everything that was built in the past and never forgetting that this was the foundation that originated everything that we are doing in the present, the only way to guarantee our future. In life there is always someone who can translate his state of mind and state of being that can eventually identify with some or the majority of similar feelings, perceptions and states of mind of other people. This ability means that sooner or later, we'll always find some written or spoken words that match what we are, but for some reason, we are not able to explain or put it in writing. As contradictions make part of life, and they were created with the purpose to think and evolve, we're all full of them and at the same time ignoring them. That gives us the necessary strength to adapt and find our defenses, our self-protection to survive. After all, We all have the same thinking and reacting, but in different ways. That's why we have to accept each other as we are, never forgetting to respect each other. The ensemble of all those ideas and thoughts is the big school of life and society, as we are always learning with other people around us, about the good and bad, positive and negative. By understanding the word relationship along with belief and convictions, we'll finally reach a mutual knowledge that might be the final goal of creation in the first place, as from that moment we'll be a whole instead of being eternally separated from each other. I always said to some friends of mine that thought they were very tough, that we cannot prove ourselves that way just because our tendency is to adopt an attitude of aggression facing everything that we are afraid. At that moment, to people who went to war and talked about the atrocities they have committed, still not being very honored about that fact, I used to say, I might not have survived in your world, but it's for sure that you wouldn't have survived on mine either. The real experience about life always lays in life and not about death and destruction that finally represented their fears to face her as she is. I always considered that I'm not better or worse than anybody else, but I always refused to participate in that pyramid of human behavior that individuals created for themselves. I believe they are trying to impose those same fears and doubts by the most illogical ways and simply expressing that they fear the strongest ones and punish those who didn't deserve it in the first place. If I did that, I was contradicting the final purpose of the Creator, His final message, which is to evolve on the basis of understanding. There must be a reason why there is a minority of people ruling the whole planet, and for sure it's not due to their ignorance, still their richness being represented by their intelligence, but by their poorness translated by the emptiness of their souls. Finally, we have to accept each other, with our differences, with our multiple states of mind being these conditioned by our spirits, our souls. All this translated by our attitudes and behaviors, but never forgetting that the intelligent ones will always be the key, the final answer to our evolution and collective comfort as a whole, finally the main purpose of life herself. Everyone is different in their particular way, still being the same as a unique existence, and as we all depend on each other. Duality and ambiguity are existing definitions that express conflicts and contradictions. All those elements together are nothing more than the necessary elements to achieve final conclusions, to understand about our existence, finally to comprehend life and her Creator. As a brief example, in taking this last paragraph as a goodbye, for now, I can say to you that one day my wife gave me a poem of a Portuguese poet that matches in an intrinsically way who I am, what I represent. It mostly matches those two words through the ones I assume my road, my dignity and spirit. Hank the Voice BEUKEMA reads from the Diary of Thoughts poems, written by Carlos Pacheco.
Black Canticle. Come this way, they tell me with sweet eyes, giving me their arms and being sure that would be good, that I would listen to them when they say, come this way. I look at them with empty eyes. There's irony and tiredness in my eyes. I cross my arms, and I never go that way. My glory is that one, to create inhumanity, to be with no one, because I live with no will, that made me born through the gap in my mother's legs. No, I don't go that way. I only go where my steps will lead me. If to all my questions nobody will answer, why do you keep telling me, come this way? I'd rather slide on muddy corners, be taken by the wildest winds, to crawl on my bloody feet, than go that way. If I came to this world, was just to explore virgin forests, to design my steps on the desert's sand, the rest that I do means nothing. How come it would be you that would give me the will, the tools, and the courage to overcome my obstacles and doubts? It runs in your veins, the old blood of your ancestors. You love what is easy. I love the far away and the mirage. I love the cliffs, the rivers, and the deserts. Go ahead. You have roads, you have gardens and flowers, you have countries and houses, you have rules, treaties, philosophers, and scientists. I have my madness. I will raise it like a torch, burning in the dark of night, and I feel foam, blood, and canticles on my lips. God and evil guide me. Nobody else. Everyone had a father and a mother, but I, that never have begun, and will never end, I was born from the love between God and evil. Oh, nobody give me merciless intentions. Nobody ask me for definitions. Nobody say to me, come this way. My life is a storm on the loose. It's a new wave on the sea. It's a single particle on the universe. I don't know where I go. I don't know where to go. But I know that I don't go that way.
As a brief example in taking this last paragraph as a goodbye for now, I can say to you that my wife gave me this poem, Black Canticle by Jose Regio, that I translated to English, that matches in an intrinsically way who I am, what I represent. It mostly matches those two words through the ones I assume my road, my dignity and spirit. The content of that poem might lead you to think that there is a direct contradiction between what I wrote and what is mentioned in those words, expressing a character, a personality, but this particularity also makes part of every single human being, because finally, nobody is sure about anything at all. We are just persuading ourselves that we are the best, we are invincible, but it's not true. The Diary of Thoughts, end of the epilogue, written by Carlos Pacheco, www.diaryofthoughts.com.